Alright guys, today I'm going to be talking about Pokemon. That's right, it's been a while since I've done that. I don't know why, we just haven't had a chance to talk about it lately on this channel. But today I want to talk about it because I remembered how much I enjoy it, and when that happens I obsess over it for a week and a half, and then I'm like, oh, I forgot about it. But currently I'm in the state of enjoying it, and also I'm in the state of enjoying Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2, which is currently airing. If you're not watching it, I don't know where you've been at. Why haven't you started it if you haven't? And it's a good show. Anyway, I wanted to combine those two things today because, you know, it's the two things that I'm enjoying right now. But also, I saw a post similar to this somewhere a while ago, and they were like kind of imagining what it would be like if certain main characters from anime had Pokemon teams. So I was like, okay, let's do that, but let's hone in on one specific show, and you know, that way it'd be easier for me, but also I can capitalize on the excitement that is Season 2 of Jujutsu Kaisen. So today, I want to be imagining what it would be like if these characters from this show had their own Pokemon teams. So I'm only going to do the main squad currently. If you guys like it or whatever, I could do the next bit of people in the show. But today only I'm going to be doing Yuji, Megami, Nobara, and Gojo. Those are the ones that are going to be getting a team today. So let's talk about those teams. Okay, so let's start off with Nobara herself. She is strong and into cute things and loves her phone and enjoys time with the boys, even though she seems like she doesn't sometimes. So all those things and all those characteristics come into play when I was building her team. It was a little bit harder. Having that in mind, those characteristics, the team that I put forth for her is going to be starting off with Tikatan. She is a new Pokemon from the new generation. One of my favorites, one of my standouts. Why? Because this Pokemon just has a huge hammer, and she's pink, and she's girly, but also she'll hit you with a hammer, and that's pretty much what Nobara will do. She is the hammer queen herself, and you know, you kind of have to have something that is what the character does on their team. So Tikatan might be probably her anchor that'll come out like towards the end of the battle when you're going at it with her, and she's like, okay, well, here's this one, and that's what it is. And it's a strong Pokemon as is. It was one of my favorites, like I mentioned earlier, from the new generation, because it was so strong, and it was like you wouldn't expect something so cute to be so strong. And then going in with the aspect of her enjoying being on her phone all the time, because she's always looking for like places to shop or like online deals, or just ignoring everybody by using that as her crutch. I have Rotom, because Rotom himself, this Pokemon itself, I guess, it can become many things and many different types, but specifically in the newer games you get a Rotom phone, and that's pretty much the only reason why she would have Rotom on her team, is because she wants to use it as a phone. She really wouldn't use it to fight anybody, but she would just be like constantly on it. So by default it's on her team. And then leaning into the sassiness of herself and how much she doesn't really like take shit from anybody, I'm gonna give her Salazzle, because this Pokemon itself seems very much like, you know, like it has the attitude, and it's kind of like it's just Salazzle. When you see it, it's gonna be on the screen for you, but when you see it, you're gonna be like, oh, okay, I can see that. And it's funny because the main base form of this before it evolves is to land it, and the only way that it evolves is if you have a female one, and becomes the super sassy lizard lady, and that's what Nobara kind of is, a super sassy lizard lady at the end of all of it, really. And then of course I feel like just in general she wants cute things on her team, so going into that cute and pretty aesthetic of her, I'm gonna give her Sylveon and also Hatterene. These are both very similar looking Pokemon, similar color palettes, and I feel like when she's like hanging out with them when they're outside their Pokeball, she would probably just be like really excited and be like, oh, look how cute they are, they're mine, they're pretty like me, and I'm pretty, and they're pretty, and together we're pretty. And then rounding out her team is gonna be Gengar, because I think it's just funny to put Gengar on like the most girliest people's teams, because he's just so big and cute and just like always has a sad backstory. And I feel like Nobara has, we haven't really seen it in the show, but she does have like seems like a sadder backstory, and Gengar is like the king of that. He's the patron saint of sad backstories, but being like happy-go-lucky, and that's kind of like Nobara through all of it. Like despite, you know, all the looks of like all other Pokemon, how cute they are or whatever, at the end of all of it, inside of her, she is a Gengar, and she feels like Gengar deep inside, and I just feel like that would be perfect for her. And also he's cute, and she would love him being cute and big. I feel like that just fits right in. So overall her team would be pretty seems very like fairy heavy maybe, and you know, Gengar a little bit of ghost, but yeah, very fairy heavy. So her team could be easily taken down by you know, like a poison type user, like what are they called, trainer? they called trainers in Pokemon? Yeah, Pokemon trainer, yeah. A poison type trainer could take her team down probably pretty easily, especially with the ghost also in there. Yeah, that would be, she wouldn't be super hard to beat, but seeing her and having to fight her, you'd probably be like, oh, this is kind of going to be annoying, going to be a bit of a grind, and a sneaky strong team, you know, despite how they look. Looks can be deceiving. That's kind of what Nobara is all about, looks being deceiving. All right, and the next person whose team I'm going to be talking about is Megami. His team was pretty easy because I kind of just mirrored what the curses we've seen in the show are. So real quick, I can just rattle them off for it. He's going to have Braviary, Caparaja, Lycanroc, Dusk Form, Lycanroc, Dark Form, Seviper, and Froakie. Yeah, pretty much that's the only reason I picked these, because they all pretty much look like the curses that we've seen. The two wolves, which are going to be the Lycanrocs, the snake, which we've seen like I think once, along with the elephant curse. We've seen it like one time only, and it really does kind of look like Caparaja, which is pretty funny. And then Braviary, the big bird that he has, I guess it's an owl. Maybe I could have put like Noctowl in, but I feel like Braviary kind of looks more like the owl thing that he uses. And then Froakie, because he has those like small frogs that get like fly around. They have wings, but there's no winged frog Pokemon. And yeah, that would be his team. Not the strongest team, but I just feel like it matches what it looks like in the show, which is kind of what I'm trying to do here. Just like you get who the trainer is based on what they're using. You'd probably be like, hey, that looks like Megumi, his team, and it is. But yeah, overall his team is pretty like well-rounded. He does not really like a single like big weakness in his team. It is pretty like, you know, you're kind of guessing on the types and the advantages. I think the only way that you'd be able to beat his team is having to, you know, get through his big like Braviary, probably the strongest one, maybe Lycanroc, but once you get through them, it's like not too hard to take down the other ones. You might not have type advantage when you're fighting him, but they're just like not as strong as more highly evolved Pokemon, especially like a Froakie. And the reason that I put Froakie on there, not like Greninja or whatever, is because Froakie looks more like his actual curses themselves. So yeah, Megami didn't get the strongest team, but they look the most similar to his own things, so it's not that far of a jump for him to have this team. Okay, and then next up we have Yuji, his team. Him himself, he is just, this is more of like another personality type thing. Megami's was just not personality related, but Yuji's and Nobara's are very much personality related to themselves, their team. So all he does really is just throw hands. He doesn't really use curses currently. Sukuna, yes, but him, he's just all hands. So I gave him like a fighting team, with a few things thrown in there, a little curveballs here and there. But yeah, mainly the reason for his team is because he's just a fighting man. All he does is fight. He's a fighting dreamer, if you will. So with that, he gets Lucario, Hitmonlee, and Hitmonchan. That's the fighting type Pokemon that he has. And then we kind of delve more into what we've seen in the show. He's going to get a Beware, because he's the little bear that he fights, or that he trains with, the puppet that the principal is using. Is it principal or is it Gojo? Anyway, the puppet that he fights in there that he's watching movies with. The Beware reminds me of that. That's why that's included. And then leaning into the aspects of like Sukuna and all that, it's gonna have Zoroark, who when it comes out famously in the games, when you throw him out first, he mirrors the last Pokemon in your party. So you throw him out and it's like, oh, that's a Seviper, and then you attack it and it's like, oh wait, that's not a Seviper, it's a Zoroark. That's what Sukuna is. Like when he takes over Yuji's body, you think it's Yuji, but it's not. It's Sukuna, and people who don't know that he's cursed won't know any better. And when they figure it out, it's too late. They've fallen into the trap. And then also leaning more into the Sukuna aspect of Yuji, I have Giratina, which is pretty much just like the devil of the Pokemon universe, and that's pretty much what we've seen so far with Sukuna, is that he's the devil. He's an evil man. Or is he? Is he a bad guy? But is he a bad guy? You know, like what goes on there? Yeah. But that team itself, that's where those come from. So it'd be a pretty fun battle. I think when you're fighting him, you're just like expect him to be all fighting type, and out of nowhere here comes a Zoroark and then a Giratina, and you're like, oh, what happened here? And you probably lose the first try you fight him. So you probably take a couple tries to beat him, or take a couple revives with you and cheat the system that way, you know, typical Pokemon style. Which, you know, it's really sad that we do that to some Pokemon sometimes. We just throw them out to be bait while we heal up the rest of our stronger Pokemon. But hey, someone's got to do it. It's the name of the game. But yeah, that would be Yuji's team for me. I don't know what other way I could lean into this and make it like more him, but I feel like I got it. It's his team. Okay, and then we have Gojo, the most overpowered man in the world. He is going to have Palkia because that is the space Pokemon, and famously Gojo's powers are all about space and space manipulation and controlling that. So that was just pretty much like nail on the head. That's his Pokemon. And then also he's going to have Watchog. Why? Just because it's funny to me, because Watchog's eyes are just big and that's all Gojo is. He's just eyes. When he takes off his bandage, you're like, oh, okay, you're looking right into my soul. And that's what Watchog does. He looks right into your soul, and he's just like, what are you doing? I'm watching you. And Gojo kind of watches people. It's not a perfect, mirror of him, but that's the only reason he's on this team. But also another silly thing that I included for his team, he's going to have an alchemy because Gojo famously likes sweets, because that's all he wanted to do was to go get mochi, and I forget what city it was. Maybe it was Tokyo. He just wanted to get mochi, and I feel like he would have a sweet tooth, and I feel like it'd be funny to just like be fighting Gojo, and he's like he's throwing out? Damn, what's the term? I guess just using these random Pokemon, or these strong-ass Pokemon, and then all of a sudden here comes an alchemy, and you're like, why are you using that? And it's just silly little Gojo being silly, and then rounding it out because he would just be like, I don't need a full team. I just need 4 Pokemon because I'm the strongest, and yeah, that's what he would do. So his 4th Pokemon would be Reshiram, mainly to lean into the whole Gojo and Setoru meme itself, or like the relationship itself with like yin and yang. So Gojo famously is the white version, and then Setoru would be the black yin and yang of it. So he gets Reshiram, and Gato would get Zekrom. So that would be the yin and the yang there, and yeah, it'd be pretty funny to just be fighting alchemy, and then all of a sudden, oh, here comes Reshiram, and you're like, where did this come from? Why are you using this? And then if you beat him, he would just physically beat your ass because he's so strong. And that would be Gojo's team, and it's just like, well, how do I beat this? You can't beat him. He's too strong. You have to compose a way to beat him. You have to find him in Shibuya somewhere. So those are the teams that you would expect to see if you were fighting an Elite Four from the Jujutsu Kaisen universe. Those are the ones you'd be fighting, those 4 there, and that is their team. So prepare yourself before you get to that end of the game, to that route, to Victory Road. That's what it's called. Before you get to Victory Road, prepare yourself. So yeah, those are the teams. As always, you can let me know down below what you think of those teams, what other members of the universes you'd want to see get a team, because I'll be happy to do that as well. And you can also subscribe and follow all that fun stuff below. And until then, go get some potions and revives, because it's a long journey ahead. I'll see you guys out there, I guess.